101 review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest.
Hello.
Yes, he is a leadership and communication strategist, founder of a simple velocity, a seeing system, rethinking communication, leadership, and what drives real success. None other than Miss Sandy Queenan.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Welcome, Miss Sandy, on Book 101 Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
No problem. Yeah. My name is Sandra Queenan, or Sandy, as everybody likes to call me, and I am the founder and key coach over at simplevelocity.com. So definitely check us out. My background is pretty eclectic. So I have been a student of communications and leadership since I was 14 years old. And I'm not going to tell you how old I am now, but it's been a long time. And I have been teaching and coaching this type of content and environment for about 25 years. And it's just something I love. And I changed the way we see leadership, the way we see soft skills. And really, I focus on emerging leaders, those people that are just getting in and just trying. And I have three personas that I really like to work with. I always say it's my wannabes. I want to be in the room where it happens. I want to be, given that opportunity. I want to take on more. Our go-getters. And then we also have what I call our personators, right? That imposter syndrome, like, oh, I made it. Now what? What do I do? And how do I actually feel comfortable in the position and situation that I'm actually in now? And then, of course, we have our burnouts. And if you have been working long enough, you've probably been all three of these personas. I know I have. And so I work with our people who have been burned out. And what does that look like? And is that a personal flaw, or is there something else going on behind the scenes? And that's where I like to dig.
Yes, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Miss Sandy. Thank you. And today let's talk about we cannot communicate the hidden system behind everything. So we cannot communicate. Can you unpack that for us? How is even silence or avoidance as a powerful form of communication?
Yeah, so we cannot not communicate, right? And so that's that whole premise of, we don't get to choose. Communication is happening all the time around us. And I tell my students, my clients, short of you locking yourself in a room, no one's seeing you go into it and no one expecting you, you're communicating something. And even then, your absence is being communicated. And so the key is most of us are just kind of bouncing around each other like we're pinballs. And sometimes we get it right, and most of the times we don't. And that's where you get that static, that friction, the conflict, that daily conflict that we talk about. And so if we know and we do that communication is a thing, right? We cannot not do it, then really what we need to do is figure out how we can do it intentionally. And so that's where I focus. I focus on, all right, it's happening. So how do I do it with purpose, on purpose? And that's me taking control of that situation. And that changes the whole script of how we engage, not only in our growth, but in our relationships, both professionally and personally.
Both professionally and, of course, you describe the hidden system behind everything. What is the fundamental architecture of this system? What is the core, or what are its core components or rules?
Ah, well, let me ask you a question, Daniel. If I say soft skills, what is your first thought? What do you think? And you
With
can be
I
honest.
anything on it, if it's a soft skill, something that intangible in my part,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like, well, let's say, what is my soft? Let's say I cannot think anything right now. So can
Right?
you enlighten me,
Yeah.
Miss Sandy?
actually perfect. And for those that are home, we did not just set that up, that was real time. So many of us,
Yes.
right? Like we hear it all the time. Like soft skills, we see it in every job description, right? They itemize out like, okay, agility thinking, adaptability, strong communication skills. Like there's so many different things. And so if you ask somebody, all right, well, how do you define soft skills? It's so hard, and they say, oh, today's leaders need, high EQ. Like, what does that even mean? So my the way I tackle this, and I've been doing it a long time with students and clients, stop thinking about it as these separate, like, to do items that I'm either good at or I'm not, right? So I
Mhm.
hear it all the time. I do not have a high EQ. That's not my strength. What am I supposed to do? Soft skills are nothing more than the elements of the inputs to or the outputs coming out of a system. And that system is communication. It's a natural system. It's happening. We can try to design it and define it all we want, but it's its own thing. All we need to do is, number one, be able to see it. Number two, be able to learn to navigate through it. And number three, this is where leadership comes in, help guide other people through it with us. And so the first step that I always I take with my students is, let's just see it. Let's figure out what it looks like. And that's where you have, your communication cycle, right? I have my sender, I have my receiver, I have my message, I have my feedback. And then we just start to fill it out, and we just start to play with it and look at it. Because once you can see it, you can't not see it. And that's what my students both love me and hate me for it, because they're like, oh my God, you ruined all my favorite shows. Like now I just watch it, right? And that's what we're talking about, because if you think about like script writers, those comedy shows and all of that, script writers are really good at manipulating the communication system.
True.
They see it. And so they
Mhm.
can make all of these micro little like things here and there that cause ripple effects, just like in any other system. There's leverage points. And when we change something in those leverage points, it just it creates big change down the line, both positive and negative, depending on how we do it. So it's just all about intentionality.
Intentionality, and thank you so much for giving that soft spot for me, Miss Sandy.
Thank you. You played right into my hand.
Yes, definitely. So, how does this perspective that all behavior is communication change our understanding of conflict, especially those moments when someone says, "We need to talk about our lack of communication"?
100%. When somebody says that, we need to talk about our lack of communication. Doesn't that feel like you just automatically get defensive, right? You're like,
Yes,
well, you're
true.
saying that, but what you really mean is I'm not doing it right, And
Yes.
there's that pressure, that pull and push. And I'm telling you right now, if we can change the way we perceive and we look at communication and we start seeing it as a system, this no longer becomes a you me thing. This becomes, there's something in that system that's that that's tied up, right? There's something that's not working correctly. How about we both be on the same side of that and figure out what that is? All right? Because so
Yes.
many of I tell people, if you can just master the communication cycle, right? Just that the sender, receiver, message, feedback, you just master that part, 85% of your daily conflict is gone. It's just gone, because that's where most of it starts to develop, is right there. And then you have the mental capacity to sort of, then tackle the bigger conflict things, which is really, when you and I see something differently, right? Those types of conflict. And again, we can communicate our way through that. So I teach right from the basics all the way up into those hard things, right? The conflict, the ethics, all of that. And I tell my students, every single one of those, intermediate and advanced skills that you're learning is nothing more than the adaptation and an adoption of the communication cycle. So once you can get that, it's just apply, apply, apply to all sorts of situations. So it really is simple, but it is hard, right? Nobody
Mm-hmm.
ever said simple is easy. They're not the same thing, right? Easy is just us going around bouncing off each other. Simple is being able to see it and intentionally maneuver and navigate through something. And that's really hard for us.
Yes, navigate the hardness, and then for sure you will be successful.
Mm.
This seems to move beyond words to encompass everything from posture to timing, Miss Sandy. What is the most underestimated nonverbal channel that carries the most weight?
Oh my gosh, I love this. These are good questions, Daniel. Thank you so much. And you're absolutely right because we think communication is language, and language is one element of communication, but you've got three, right? We have nonverbal, which is our facial expressions, our body language. We have paraverbal, and that's a fun word. Not many people know that. Paraverbal is it's the cadence, the flow, it's the melody, right, of how we communicate, how we say what we say. And then, of course, it's the words that we choose. And all three of those have to work together. We call that, it's part of the four C's: clean, clear, concise, consistent. And so we talk about this. And the other really fun thing is that all of this is universal. This doesn't just apply to English speakers or, Spanish speakers or wherever. It's universal. Communication is a universal system. It's how we apply all of those things that change with our culture. And so that's where it gets kind of fun because for you and me, eye contact right here in Canada and the US, we like to look each other in the eye. That shows respect. But there's other, cultures and societies where you look somebody straight in the eye and that's either, disrespectful or it's challenging. Same
Mm.
thing, eye contact, but the meaning changes based on the culture and how societies implement it.
Yes, indeed. Eye contact is very important, people, but other nation doesn't like it. Why not?
Yeah, just add a smile,
Yes, just
blink, look
smile.
away every now and then. Yeah.
In a personal relationships, Miss Sandy, how can these principles help us listen to the true
Mm,
message behind the partners of friends' actions, especially when their words say something else?
mm-hmm, absolutely. Oh, this is a fun one because we think of if a conversation fails, it's almost always the sender's fault, right? The person who is trying to communicate. And that is so wrong. So if you're looking at the communication cycle, you have the sender on one side, the receiver on the other. It is a partnership. Both sides are equally responsible for the success or failure of that. And that's where active listening comes in. And you hear that buzzword a lot, right? There's books. I laugh all the time. There's books that an entire book is written about one particular element within a communication cycle, and they focus in on the element without ever teaching anybody to see the whole and where that kind of plays in. And active listening is such an important skill. And it's not just, oh, how do I listen? You listen with eye contact, right? The nonverbal, paraverbal, and verbal. You have to be paying attention to that person because so much of our communication of our message is coming across not just with the words, how we're saying them and the body language we're using when we're saying them. And so we really need to, and what we call it, psychologically connect with the center. We have to be full body listening. And my husband and I joke all the time because I'll be like, "You're not even listening to me." And he's like, "Yes, I am. You said blah 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 blah, right?" So, and I'm like, "Oh, right." And he can parrot back the words I said, but he did miss a lot of context, and so we play with that a lot in my classes, and that active listening is really important. One of the super simple thing you can do, I call it the 3 second rule. And what that means, it helps you shut your brain down. There's a whole lot of neuroscience behind all of this. but it's when somebody is communicating with us. If we're like, okay, 3 second rule. Before I respond, I am going to wait 3 seconds. And by doing that, and you're saying that to yourself, your brain quiets down and we actually listen better. Because let's be honest, right? How many times is somebody talking to you and you're already crafting your response in your mind before they've finished actually sending you your message, right? We're all guilty of that because our brains are computers and we're just trying to anticipate, And so when you say, nope, I'm going to take 3 seconds and then I'm going to reply. And that shows, that communicates to the person talking to you that, oh, wow, they're really taking a minute to think and listen to me. And it also helps you and your brain craft a message that's more intentional, and that can come across better.
So, Miss Sandy, as a leadership and communication strategist founder, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
What are your short-term and long-term goals?
Oh, my short term and long term goals. Well, it's almost the holidays, right? So
Yes.
my short term goals here in the north is to stay warm. No, for me, I'm really excited. There's this new program that I am launching. It's called the Emerging Leader Accelerator, and I love it because one of my biggest pet peeves being in the training world and seeing all of these efforts that are going along, and honestly money being wasted by organizations, is most trainings are either quick hitters, right? They're like quick skill and then they're gone. And more often than not, those skills, it's kind of nice. And then we already go back to the way we've always been. So there's no sustainable change. The next one is, a lot of times they'll try to do internal trainings, which is great, but they go in, they do a half day workshop, and then no one ever talks about it again. Right. And so again, you have that backslide. And I was like, if we're going to do this, I'm going to use everything that I have learned and we're going to make something that actually works and is practical for people. So it's 8 weeks, every week for 8 weeks. And then we do a new skill that you're going to be learning. We do some challenges. And then when it's all said and done, I give them another 2 months where we just come in. I call it my leadership playground, right? My maker space. And it's the opportunity for people to fail. And I know that's such a scary word, right? But I create sort of psychological safe spaces for professionals and emerging leaders to play, to mess up, to fail, and then figure out, using that as just information inputs. All right, let's try it again. Let's try it again. So I'm really excited about it. We did one program back in November. It was so much fun. And so for those of you that are just starting your career, I would definitely recommend this because you're going to get so much out of it and you're going to come out swinging.
Well, thank you for that goals and looking forward for more success, Miss
Yeah.
Sandy. And what would be a piece of advice for those people out there want to be like you?
Keep it simple. Keep it simple. There are so many articles, so many books out there that you're going to get overwhelmed. Start with the basics. See the system, play with the system, and then just learn how to navigate. This really is fun. It's so much fun if you just want to kind of like nerd out with me on this stuff. But it just start from the basics because that's where the success comes from.
Yes, people, basic, basic, basic. And thank you for that advice, Miss Sandy. And can you please recommend a book of books that influence your journey? Yeah.
Absolutely. So, my favorite book right now, and it ties in with this whole kind of systems thinking, is called Thinking in Systems by Donella Meadows. I think it's great. It's really it's easy to get into it. You don't have to be an engineer or anything like that. She speaks in basic terms. Again, simple, 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 simple. But you'll start to see things, and once you can do that, the world gets really kind of curious.
Yes, indeed. And thank you for that recommended book, Miss Sunday. And
Daniel.
what is the most liberating or empowering aspect of accepting that we are always communicating? Does it relieve pressure or increase responsibility?
Both. Absolutely both, right? And
Hmm.
think of it like I tell my students this, it's like Dorothy when she gets to the Oz, and they're like, "Don't look behind the curtain." I show them behind the curtain, and so you get to see how it all works. And once you see it, right, with knowledge comes power, but also comes responsibility. So my students will never accept, another like terribly run meeting, or taking on conflict that doesn't need to have to be there. Like, they know, and they don't need everyone else to know what they know. They'll be able to move and maneuver people along with that.
Yes, and before we wrap up our discussion for today, Miss Sandy, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and mock book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in third season, and mock food 101 in fifth season as well, geography 101, love letters, movie 101 review, music 101 our fourth season, Science 101, Sex 101 in its second season, and my baby podcast, Mental Health 101, Law 101, Bible Verses 101, Entrepreneurship 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Sandy, ultimately, what becomes possible in our relationships, our self awareness, and our self collective understanding when we learn to see and navigate these hidden system consciously.
Mm. It allows us the opportunity to maintain control of the situations, of the conversations, of the environment that we're working in. Not to control them, but to maintain control when we're navigating through them. And that's a really, really powerful, um, empowering, skill set to have, both for yourself and the people that you're engaging with.
Yes, Miss Sunny, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom today. Thank you, thank you. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your business, or wherever you want to promote on Book 101 Review?
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody. If you're interested in the Emerging Leader Accelerator, or you just want to dip your toes in, come talk to us. There's a little thing that says contact me. It'll come straight to me. And we can set up a free 15-minute coaching session and kind of get you started in your journey of really mastering your own success.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Sandra or Sandy Queenan because if you support her, for sure, more and more empowering coaching will rise. And Miss Sandy, can you expound more the phrase on your website? Step into leadership with clarity, confidence,
And a plan.
and a
Absolutely.
plan. Yes.
Absolutely. We're taking this. Like, we're swallowing the whole sun, and we're going to come out, and January is going to be here before we know it. Let's get in. Let's actually project manage your success. And so you'll come in, we're going to get to see the system. You're going to get comfortable working in, and using leadership as a tool and as a system itself. And then you will graduate and leave with an actual implementation plan for your next steps, your individual next steps.
Yes, people. Again, let's support Miss Sandy Queenan. So, Miss Sandy, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everyone. More to come, people. See you soon.